MoneyGigs is supported by tryfloral.com, tryfloral.com/themoneygigs to get your discount. Tryfloral produces THC beverages. They come in 2.5, 5, and 10 milligram varieties in all sorts of flavors. I have one prior to my gig, and everything is so smooth. Visit tryfloral.com/themoneygigs. That's tryfloral.com/themoneygigs and get your discount. Thanks for listening to the MoneyGigs podcast. Today's episode is a little different. My guest, JR, hosts Bands You've Never Heard Of, a podcast dedicated to finding artists before the world does. He's also a drummer, a musical theater performer, and a 30-year veteran of Crutchfield. All at the same time. We had a genuine peer-to-peer conversation about gigging, podcasting, self-promotion, and the invisible weight of doing all of it at once. You might hear a little bit about yourself in this one. Let's do the MoneyGigs podcast. Here's my guest, JR. Hello, sir.
Well, hello there.
It's great to see you and talk to you. Happy Father's Day. Are you a father?
I am indeed. I am a father. I am a grandfather.
Oh, man, I'm jealous. How's your day so far?
It's been great. I'm having an incredible week. I'm currently in a show, in a musical called Come From Away at a small community theater here in the Central Virginia area. And we are right in the middle of our run. I've got a show tonight. I had a show last night. I'm running full steam, like energized and invigorated by doing this show.
I mean, that's so good to hear. You know, you play 1 to 2 times a month, you're doing the podcast. And so when I hear you doing theater, my question is, I'm not paying the bills right now. How are you paying the bills?
Yeah, all of that's in addition to a full-time job.
What do you do?
So I work at Crutchfield. Are you familiar?
I remember you telling me that before, and I apologize for forgetting, but it's good if we want to keep it so people know.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've been at Crutchfield since June 3rd of 1996. I just celebrated my 30-year anniversary there. So if you are looking at crutchfield.com and looking at a TV or a camera or a car stereo or an amplifier or anything like that, and you have a question about it and you call us or you chat with somebody online, you will be talking to somebody I trained every single time.
It's beautiful. I remember back in the days of Circuit City, I actually ordered a car stereo for my 92 Tercel. I think it was out of Crutchfield. And whenever you ordered something from Crutchfield, they then continued to send you the big catalog. And that was like I loved but hated it because I loved getting it, but it took me out for 2 days because I just wanted to sit there and thumb through the pages and dream about all the stuff I'll never be able to afford. So good stuff.
And we do still send out that catalog, even though most everybody's looking at us on crutchfield.com. We still send out that catalog. I don't think Bill will ever stop sending out the catalog because that is sort of the foundation of the business. It's changed. It's evolved quite a bit because of how the website facilitates all the orders now. But
it's so really great that you have a day gig that is somewhat, I mean, more than somewhat musician adjacent, right?
Very musician adjacent. And we have a ton of musicians that work at Crutchfield. So a lot of local Charlottesville, celebrity musicians basically are employed there or have been employed there. So yeah, we attract music, and musicians make really good Crutchfield employees, usually in their second part of their life after they've settled down a little bit.
Yeah. Wisdom needed probably in that position. So
For sure.
Cool. Well, I want to divvy this up between two things because you're a person. I mean, we know each other as podcasters, but you're also a person and a musician. So we got one of your baseball card aspects kind of taken out of the way there, and that's really cool. But you front a loud rock band. And I love your story, but what's the real story of a venue swearing they can handle your volume and then kind of folding mid-set?
Oh, well, yeah, we struggle to play quietly for sure. So this band that I'm in now, to be fair, started as basically we didn't want to stop playing music when our lead singer in our country band, Ice House Road, decided he wasn't looking to play all the time and wanted to do other things. So we were looking to play. And so mainly Gary, our lead singer, our guitar player, our songwriter, our fearless leader, he was, decided to go out and do a bunch of acoustic gigs at anywhere he could do them, breweries, wineries, restaurants, anywhere he could play. And he called me and said, hey, can you bring a small version of our PA system so that I can play this gig. And I said, so tell me about the gig. Oh, you're playing guitar. What if I brought, at the time I had this nice decorative djembe drum, and I don't have djembe lessons. I've never played it. It's decorative at home. But I said, I'll bring that and just sort of bang the drum along with you. I think we can probably do that. And he's like, sure, come on. So I ran the PA and played the djembe, and we had the best time.
Wow.
So for several years, it was just Gary and me. I eventually got a cajon. I eventually got 3 cajones, so I could choose the one I wanted based on the gig. And so we did a lot of gigs that way. And when you play like that, you have so many options. All of the breweries love you because people can talk and watch TV and do whatever they want to do. And if they want to pay attention and really get into the music, they can do that too. And because we're at a volume that is reasonable. But then we found a bass player, and then Gary remembered he likes playing electric guitar. And then I remembered I like playing a big, loud set of acoustic drums. And so we started to try to do the same thing in those same places with the full band. And that's when they were like, whoa, this is a bit much. Can you turn down? Can you turn down? I mean, people can't hear themselves talk. Can you turn down? And we had a gig at a restaurant in Charlottesville where we prepared them ahead of time. We are loud. We don't play soft. We are a rock and roll band. We will be playing on your outdoor patio. You're cool with all that, right? And they said yes. And we actually went through a guy who booked this gig for us. This was the first and the last gig he booked for us.
Oh, God.
Because we trusted him to have conveyed this message, and I'm not sure he did, because they were very much unhappy with it. They didn't kick us out or stop us. They asked us multiple times to turn down, and they basically told the guy, we can't have those people back. Because
it's such an interesting progression. You went from that duo and the cajon to a big band, but I want to go back to something you said about people can talk and do whatever they want when you're quieter and you're down and the gigs and venues love you. It's interesting that you have that perspective, because you'll run into those musicians that want to be the center of attention and are bothered by, say, we got a lot of World Cup going on right now, right? So the game's
Sure.
on the TV, and musicians are bothered by that. Have you ever been like that and transitioned at some point to not caring as much about what people are doing while you're playing?
I don't mind playing music at a place where there's a bunch of people and it's a fun atmosphere, even if 2/3 of them are watching the World Cup on the screen, right? Chances are I'm sitting there watching it too while we're playing. If it's an interesting event happening, I don't mind that the TV's on and that people are doing that. You'll usually have some percentage of the crowd kind of into what you're doing. And the better you are, the higher percentage you're going to have. And so I've had plenty of very fun gigs like that. But at my heart, I am absolutely wanting to be the center of attention. I want to play. Like, my goal for our band is to only play gigs where it's a music venue. The people came to see the music, and we're on a stage. We have a sound guy, right? We didn't have to bring our own PA system. I want to play those venues. And I'm not talking Madison Square Garden. I'm talking about bigger than average breweries with a real performance space. Those kinds of places is where it's our level of,
or a theater that hosts live music. We have one of those in town here that just closed down. Actually, the Madison Theater in Covington closed down the other day due to what they said was an incident where someone tripped over a step and sued them into oblivion. But I'm understanding it was more than that, and hopefully somebody purchases that place. But I'm sure in Charlottesville you have sort of similar venues, theaters, and
absolutely the Jefferson Theater. Like, that's a dream. If we can get our band on the Jefferson Theater stage playing for a decent sized crowd, that would be what I deem as the pinnacle for our band at this stage in our lives.
Do you have a keyboard player?
We have had a keyboard player. His name was Rob. He was a wonderful person, a wonderful human. I considered him a friend for many years. We have lost touch. We don't really see each other. He's moved away. But so we miss him in the band, and what he brought with keys was pretty cool, but we haven't replaced that. So,
well, it's a bucket list item suddenly for me, and it's something I would have done 16, 17 years old, and I'm not that anymore, but I would have driven to Charlottesville and had the goal of gigging with you guys at the Jefferson Hall.
The Jefferson Theater.
Jefferson Theater, okay.
It's on the downtown mall in Charlottesville, our historic downtown mall, where there are multiple venues of various sizes. And we have played the smaller ones on the downtown mall. The Jefferson Theater is the medium-sized one, and then there's the Paramount Theater, and at the end of it is the Ting Pavilion.
I really want to get there now. I really want to check all this out.
Place. Yeah. It's worth it just to come to Charlottesville and visit the downtown mall, because on a Friday or Saturday night there will be music galore, buskers on the street making more money than most of the people playing the smaller venues. And it's just a wonderful atmosphere. So yeah, come check us out. Love it. And we'll have you sit in with us on some time when we're playing in one of those places.
Has to happen. And I wonder, do you think nationwide Charlottesville has a reputation as being sort of a music, cog in the nation?
I think we have less of that reputation now. We used to have, in addition to everything I just described, there was plenty of other music venues to choose from. And now there's a small handful of them, pretty much replaced by breweries and wineries out in the country. And I don't think that is thought of as music venues. That is thought of as background music for wine drinkers and beer drinkers, right? And it's a kind of a different thing. We have had some amazing music venues. Dave Matthews hails from Charlottesville. We're all very proud to say that. And, he worked at a bar on the downtown mall. He played Tracks next to the train tracks, which was the best music venue I've ever been in. Rest in peace, Tracks. It's replaced by a Hampton Inn. It's so sad. But it was dirty. It was smoky. It was grungy. It was low ceilings. It was nasty in all the right ways. I loved seeing bands play there.
I wonder if some of those elements are ghosted into the Hampton Inn.
I sure hope so.
Sounds like a cool place now. All of a sudden, like ghosts of awesome live music venue. You play 1 or 2 times a month, and you let Gary book everything, right?
Yeah.
How did you arrive at trusting someone else with that? I'm a control freak. I can be. What does your feedback loop with him actually sound like?
So I don't think any of us in the band want to be the person responsible for booking the gigs. Like, we would definitely prefer a professional do that for us, and we would pay that person, I think, if we got seriously good gigs on a regular basis, even if it was just a couple times a month. But we have yet to find, like I just talked about, the guy that we found to do that did not do a great job of that. We've had 2 or 3 people try, and just nobody seems to get us into places where it makes sense. So we do it ourselves. And so the gigs we play now are private events. We just played at a campground outside next to an RV resort campground. And man, we had a great time and we made good money. I know that because MoneyGigs tells me we actually made decent money on that on that show.
Thanks for the plug.
Yeah, I asked Gary, I said, how much are we getting paid for this one? He told me. I'm like, what? We haven't made that amount of money in a long time. When are we coming back? And we're going back on July 4th, and we do it 2 or 3 more times this summer. So a couple times this summer, we're playing that place and making decent money. And Gary is responsible for booking all of that. And I do not have time to do any of that. There's so many things I want to do. And that is low on the list of things I really want to do. And so it just has 0 priority for me. So
you said, I got that from the primer questions I sent out. You said time is your number 1 challenge.
Yeah.
And all the stuff around the music, of course. Walk me through what that invisible workload actually is for a working rock band.
So, I mean, there's all of the rehearsals where we get together. I got 2 hours of drive time to make it to rehearsal every time. And there's all the time I spend listening to the recordings we do of our rehearsals to prepare for gigs, for shows, for the next rehearsal, when we're learning new music, especially to be able to add to that. If I lived in a place where I could set up my drums, my acoustic drums, I don't have electronic drums. That's on the bucket list at the moment. But I can't play my acoustic drums where I live, so I don't have a ton of time to devote to just playing and rehearsing and practicing and getting my fundamentals. And so instead, I spend my time doing all of the other things I love to do. Live theater, I play disc golf, I host a podcast. I mean, all of that takes enough time that what's left is, that's when I sleep.
Yeah, exactly. And you sleep?
Not much. My girlfriend, she hates it. I come to bed at 2 a.m. I'm up and out and at work at 8 every morning and somehow make that work. And then on the weekends, if possible, I'll get an extra few hours of sleep, and that's about it.
Honestly, that's helping me want to dig in. I struggle with energy a lot. Like, yes. There's an impending nap at around 2:00 that usually happens every day. And it's usually due to a cat waking me up at 5:30 in the morning wanting to be fed. But I also expend a lot of energy. And as I've gotten into my 50s, I just think it kind of feels like Cinderella, like the glass slipper's only on for a few hours. And then, so how do you take care of yourself?
So I have yet to slow down. I am doing more today than I was at any point in my life. And I was forced to slow down recently within the last couple of years. So a few years, I have had some major ups and downs with regards to health. I have been as heavy as 320 pounds. I have been as light as 180 pounds, and I have gone up and down between those two numbers over my 30 years of being an adult and having a job and a career where I'm sedentary at work. So I've got to find things to do outside of work, and drumming and playing music is definitely one of the better things for me to do. I try to play disc golf. I try to do physical things, but then I get involved in a theater production where I have rehearsal 3 or 4 times a week, and I've got no time to work out. And so I tend to eat. I really enjoy eating, and so I get fat. And so all of that led to a heart attack several years ago, and I didn't even know I had one at the time. I was at a Dropkick Murphys concert at the Ting Pavilion in Charlottesville, in the mosh pit with my daughter. We've done this multiple times, and I just started to feel really bad. And I was like, I got to go sit down. And I went and sat down, and it was just like a weird feeling, achy feeling, tightness in the chest. And I didn't interpret it as a heart attack, even though I should have. But I just went home and sort of rested for a few days and was fine afterwards. And it was later that year that I said, I should probably go to the doctor. My heart's feeling a little weird now. And they said, yep, cardiologist, several months of tests and this and that goes by. And the cardiologist says, so we can't put stents in. You've had a heart attack. You need triple bypass heart surgery. That was March 6th of 2025. I was in a musical at that time, in rehearsals and for a musical. So I told the doctor, I said, I hear you that I need surgery, but I've been alive and living with, I've had a heart attack now for 2 years. And so I'm not just going to stop what I'm doing right now and get the surgery. I'm going to do it when it makes sense. So I quit smoking that day. I immediately changed what I was eating that day, began to lose, and I lost, by the time I got the surgery, about 50 pounds. I've lost 60 pounds total since then. And so eating healthier, not smoking. I still vape, but it's a thing. But I'm living a much healthier lifestyle now. And the probably the worst thing I do for myself is not go to bed on time.
Sleep is elusive. Sleep is elusive and hard, because for people like us, we want to get something done. Mm-hmm. To me, I'm just now at the point where sleep doesn't feel like I'm admitting defeat on the day. It's like, okay, this is now supplying the next day's efforts. Yeah. You've done enough today. And that's been a real thing. So, wow, JR, that's like the ultimate, the saxophone's getting louder. Potentially the worst example of that is that you're doing all that stuff. Meanwhile, you've had a heart attack, or you're about to have a heart attack. And I think that's a really, first of all, thanks for being here still. And congratulations for surviving that and maintaining an attitude of still doing stuff. I think if I had a heart attack, I'd probably sign off. I'd probably find something a lot more laid back in terms of a lifestyle. So that's really amazing. So wow.
I took it in stride and did not let it slow me down. Obviously, for a few months, I was slowed down. So we played a gig 2 days before I went in for surgery back in September. It's June now. So it's been since September that I had the surgery. And we had our next gig in November. or at least started. We were back to playing music together so 2 months after surgery, and we were back to that. Slowly getting back to just I live a normal lifestyle again, and I eat so much better than I did before. I don't feel like I need to start smoking again. I'm still the guy who lifts all the heavy PA stuff into our truck and takes it to gigs and unloads it and sets it up, and so I'm just as strong, if not stronger than before, feeling healthier than I was, and busier than I've ever been.
You may have said it before, but what's your relationship with alcohol?
I've never really cared all that much about it. I'm not a teetotaler or anything, but I mean, I drink when we get together. We'll have our first shot before rehearsals. I'll drink a beer at a gig. When I was a kid, I got drunk a handful of times, maybe once or twice since then. So I knew from childhood that my father would describe himself. I never knew him much as a drinker, but he drank heavily for a long time before I was born, and would probably call himself an alcoholic, maybe a former alcoholic. And his dad drank a lot, and my mom's dad drank a lot. So I knew from early on that there was probably a genetic tendency that if I didn't pay attention to that I could probably become an alcoholic without even trying. So that was always in the back of my head. And so I never really just started drinking a lot. For many years, I didn't drink a drop. And now I'm just kind of a casual, occasional drinker.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic, and one, it serves as sort of a, no pun intended, undercurrent of the music industry. And it's such an interesting paradox. I'm not sure if I'm using the right term, where we want to play these breweries, we want to go out and play these establishments where people come to do that, while we have to question and be aware of our own relationship with the substance. So it's always been an interesting point to observe throughout my life and career as well, I'm sure as yours. So I want to move toward sort of the podcasting thing, because we're both podcasting. And I guess the good news is I don't think there's ever going to be too many podcasts like ours. Like, I'm discovering that. You go out and you go, oh, I have this unique niche where I'm going to interview musicians, and you're thinking, oh, nobody else is doing this. And then you find someone else, you're like, oh, bummer. But then you realize, and I think it's the best news in the world, is that there are so many gigging musicians, and they're all trying, and they all have such a story. And I think we're both doing a good job of getting those stories out. But as a podcaster interviewing musicians, how do you, and this is like me trying to learn, how do you get someone past sort of the press kit version of themselves and into the real stuff?
Great question. So the way our podcast is structured sort of facilitates that. And so we do it. It's usually about a 2-hour show. The first hour is Gary and me. I'm introducing Gary, the guy I play music with, to a new band. He's literally never heard of them when we start hitting record. And so I play him their songs, I play him their videos, we look at their socials. So I create this band's newest fan live on the show. And I have pre-scheduled an interview with that band. And I don't ever give them any kind of pre-interview or anything like that. Some bands want that. Some bands offer that, but I never ask for it. And I make it my goal to do a mountain of research on every band, so that when we get together, I have questions that are not the questions they've been asked at every other podcast or anytime they've had the pleasure of being interviewed by somebody. Oh, how did you get your name? Oh, how did you all meet? Oh, how did you write that song? What comes first, the music or the lyrics? Like, these are cliche questions. And we will get to that in most of these interviews, but we're not going to start there. We're going to start with some deep dive stuff, something I found deep on their Instagram from 5 years ago, something that they said in another interview that I'm like, can we expand on that idea? And can we take a song that's maybe not your biggest hit, but this other song that I just love? And can we talk about what you said in that song? So I really want them to know that I'm not just here to do an interview and get a paycheck. I am here because I care about their music and who they are and what makes them tick. And I want them to succeed. I want to treat them like the rock star that they are going to be. In my mind, they're all going to be rock stars at some point, and I am counting myself lucky to be in on the early part of that development, right? And so when they can pick up on that, which I craft a pretty carefully worded email when I introduce myself to them to ask them to be on our show. I try to create that vibe and let them know that this is not like every other podcast you've been on. We really are here because we want to celebrate you and introduce you to the world and whatever, and be any kind of part of your story. So I think that's what they can pick up on that in the first vibe. Some of these bands will go listen to our show and before they agree to be on it. And I love it when they do that. And then they still say yes. We have found that bands that know what they're getting into with our show and still say yes are the coolest bands. Like they give us the most in an interview. They know what they've signed up for, and they're here for it. And so, yeah, we encourage them to check it out and make sure that they know we're here really for them.
I really appreciate the way you pursue unique questions, obviously, and avoid the cliche. And when you say the bands pick up on that energy, I've noticed that too. And it took me 3 or 4 episodes to realize the person I'm interviewing feels complimented, and they're exhibiting that feeling. They feel like it feels like I'm in, like I didn't know I was doing that, inadvertently empowering them to go ahead and step into that role. Like you said, they've always dreamt of being and can be and will be. That's just very, it's a very uplifting energy just to be able to exchange that. So I appreciate that. And I also, doing research beforehand, I feel like sometimes I get the energy from them that they're surprised that I've stalked them on the internet and kind of found, have you ever gotten that energy from them?
100%. I'm going for that. I want them to go, wow, I can't believe you asked that deep dive question. How did you even come to that? Like, yeah, that's my goal. That is absolutely a goal.
Awesome. So what's actually moved the needle? Like I'm just starting out. I'm into my 10th episode and what's actually moved the needle? I ask every day, how can I move the needle for growing the audience? And what did you believe would work? Maybe that didn't.
So when we first started, it's been a little over a year now. I wasn't able to post every week. And conventional wisdom says consistent posts every week is critical. And so I have gotten to that. So most of 2026, we've put out 1 post a week, 1 new show every week. That means a new band interviewed, a new set of research, a new set of songs, a lot of work every single week. And that alone has not increased our audience by any significant amount. So I can't attribute any growth to that. The main thing that brings more people to our podcast, our show, is when the band realizes what it can be for them and for us and for all of the other bands involved. So the bands, when they take this has happened with several bands in the past few months, and their numbers go way up when they take clips from our show and post it on their socials because they think their audience, their fans, are going to like it because they had something interesting to say. They are also pumping up our show and bringing people to that. So we see those numbers go up when the bands have a vested interest in promoting not just their music, but something like a deep dive interview that we do that their fans won't find anywhere else. When the bands care about that and do something with it, we benefit. And we tell every band, if you are willing to go out there and tell your fans how to find you, fans are going to find us and all the other bands. And it's not about we're doing this for zero money, right? We have not been, we are paying to make a podcast right now. And will be until we get sponsors and significant numbers of listeners. And that may never happen. But it is worth it because I love finding these bands. I love spending my limited free time at night just going through the depths of Spotify and finding a band nobody's heard of. And then I get to be that person who says, hey, here's a band you've never heard of. I think you're going to love them. And know for sure that nobody's ever heard of them. And when the bands pick up on that and then they support it, we get numbers, real numbers. And we hope that rising tide floats all the boats. Like that's kind of our motto. We almost say it every episode. You as a band caring about this is not just benefiting you. It's not just benefiting this podcast. It's benefiting every band that's been interviewed on this podcast. Because as soon as one of them breaks big, people are going to be Googling them and looking for old interviews that they gave when they were just starting out, right? When that happens, everybody benefits. And so we're seeing that already in small, very small steps right now.
I really love that. I love a couple things you talked about pace. And I had hoped as well that I would do one a week, and it just didn't happen. And then actually took a hiatus in January. I just didn't have it. And then my friend Josh came back and said, Cliff, you need to keep going and establish your body of work. And I'm a bit squirrely in the brain. So I just decided at least once every 2 weeks was my pace. That's just what I can do.
Yep.
In terms of acquisition, production. And I hired my dad as an editor, he's the most ruthless of editors. So that's actually good because, things will get vetted properly. But establishing that body of work, have you seen that just start to help you in terms of how many have you done so far? Like a year?
We've been doing it for a year, but again, we weren't doing it every week there for a while. So we've got somewhere, I think we just posted episode 43 or 44, right around there. Dallas Wax, my current favorite band that you've never heard of. And they really have the chance to go big. They're playing Austin City Limits Music Festival in Austin, Texas later this year. When that happens, people are going to be Googling them. I'm looking for numbers there, baby. But yes, the body of work is there. We on Band You've Never or bindhopod.com. Every band, the show, links to every band's thing that we can find, all their socials, their websites, etc. So we try to make this a hub for people to go find the bands. But what it also is a place for management, promoters, PR people who have indeed reached out to us and say, hey, I have a band I think is perfect for your show. And the first time I got that, I was like, what? How did you find us? Nobody's finding us right now. How did you find us? And I still don't know yet, but they did. And this has happened 6 or 7 times now that they've reached out to us. And I'm so afraid of when I get one of those and the band just sucks. Because we're not here to shit on a band. We're not here to roast them American Idol style, right? Like we're here only to promote bands we actually like. So when I don't want to tell a promoter, sorry, it's not going to work out.
Right.
It'll be a scheduling problem rather than your band's music sucks problem. But yeah, so I think that body of work establishes some credibility and has gotten us on the radar of people that want our services. And when I reach out to bands with the carefully crafted email that I send, many of them do go look and see, okay, this is what they're doing. And they'll devour a few episodes before they get back to me and say, yeah, we want to be on your show. And so it helps to have that established thing, which I didn't have when I first started trying to contact bands and say, hey, can you be on our show?
Well, that's actually good to hear, because now I don't feel so stupid, because actually through the first 9 or 10, like I've done 10, I've not ever really prodded my guest to act on things and establish that vested interest. And it's somewhat frustrating because they're busy and I can see their schedule, and that's a good thing. And that's kind of how I determine if a band is quote unquote good. I kind of set aside my own taste and I go, if they're playing 5 or 8 shows a month or something like that, they can't possibly suck. So that's a good thing. But I've never really prodded them and said, I did on the last one. I said, and here's some embed code you can use to embed the episode into your website. But how have you encouraged them to promote? I always feel like I'm telling someone what to do. I don't like to do that. But how do you convey that sentiment and that direction without coming across that way?
So I'll tell you, I'll pretend we're on the podcast and I'm talking to you and you're a band that I've never heard of until now. And we're getting towards the end of the interview, right? You don't lead with this, you finish with this. Excuse me. I'll tell them after we've had great rapport, we've been talking for 45 minutes or so. I'll say, so guys, we are obviously here to promote you. We are fans. And that's why we're doing this show. And so we are going to tell everyone we know that we have talked to you, that we love your music, and we think people should listen to it. And we do this for every band. So all we ask in return is when this episode comes out, if you tell your fans about it, they will have a place to go find out more about you than they did know before, because we've asked you questions that you haven't answered in other interviews or whatever. So your fans to have better access to you, and so they need to know about it. And we don't have access to all your fans, but you do.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you tell them, they'll come listen to the episode. And yes, that helps you, that helps us, but more importantly, it is the rising tide that floats all the boats, and it helps. And then I go into the whole what I just told you earlier about how it helps all the bands. And when somebody's going to break big, and you're going to benefit from whoever breaks big first, if it's not you, you're going to see the results of that, and it's going to be good.
Those are very important points. Just roughly, what kind of percentage success rate do you have on that? Say 100 out of the 100 bands you may have interviewed, what percentage actually takes an action that promotes the episode?
I'm going to go with about 80%. Most of them will post once. They'll say, hey, I'll post about it on socials, and then they'll take my post and share it out. And I make that easy. I send them an email. Look, here's the YouTube of our interview. Here's the social media post that I've done. If you want to share it, I tagged you in it. I did everything I could to make this so easy for you to just, at least at the bare minimum, share that out to your fans. And most of them do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a much smaller percentage of people that say, this is a pretty cool opportunity. Let me take some initiative to do more than that and create multiple posts, create a story or a reel, or cut our interview up into clips and make little things like that. And I've had 5% of bands do that. The Schwa recently did that, and as a result, their episode has 5 times more listens than any other episode of recent history. A band from Australia, Dr. Shure's Unusual Practice, they are still clipping our show sometimes. Like, it's like once every few weeks they put out a new one. I'm like, this is paying dividends for your episode, for your fans, and it's helping us as well. So it's bands that are really business minded, that realize the potential for this, and so the bands that are just about the music, they're great, but they don't necessarily have the time or inclination.
It ties back to so many things we've already covered about having that one individual in the band who's business minded and will promote. Yeah. It ties back to promotion itself, and like you said, you would rather hire someone that would do that for us. And I think there's an actual market, not necessarily for booking agencies or even like someone who does that full time, but just finding that middle person who's generally could be a non-musician and therefore give you that outside perspective on your band and how it's consumed by the average person, doing that effort for you and putting myself in the shoes of someone who would get that instruction. And I'm just doing that now. Been doing this for 6 months and I'm just doing that now. If you gave me that instruction, I do not like to toot my own horn. I barely like to put out a promotional ad for my gigs. I just feel like it's either a combination of I'm shouting into the wind or I'm coming across like this big ego guy, things like that. So I wonder if we need to think about how to step people over what I'll call that squeamishness of, I don't listen to my own recordings. I've never listened to a recording of mine, maybe sometimes like 5-6 years. So I'm very that way. So I wonder if there's a way to help them step over, hey, it's okay to promote yourself in this fashion.
It's a struggle because I also feel like when I'm on Facebook, I'm either promoting the musical that I'm in right now, or the band gig that I have coming up on Friday, or the podcast episode that I want them to listen to, or whatever. It seems like every post I make is, hey, come see me perform. And you can't just post that. You have to do other stuff, related, adjacent stuff, interesting things that keep people realize, so they realize you're not only doing that. But I don't have time most of the time right now to do anything but that. So every post recently has been about seeing the show that I'm in. And there was a show on TV. I'm looking it up now because I want to see. I can't remember what it was called. But it stars the British actor and comedian Eddie Izzard. He did a show. It was a season and a half before it got canceled. I'm so pissed that it was canceled. It was the best show. He played a gypsy con man, father of 2, married, a con family. And one of the cons that I remember from this show was have someone else tell your story. Don't tell your own story. And if we had somebody who was interested in us enough to devote some time, we would certainly pay them what little we could pay them to do that, to tell our story for us on a regular basis, right? So that it's clear that it's not just the band promoting themselves, but somebody's running this. Like overtly, somebody else is running our social media, telling our story for us. And I think that has more credibility and moves people more than you just self-promotion all the time. Yeah, and I am a shameless self-promoter. I will do it, but it would be better if somebody else did it.
Yeah. And I feel like you're business-minded, and what I've seen is there's sort of an identity bridge between musician and doing business-related things, promotion, all those things. And that identity bridge is longer the more creative someone is. If someone is just doing gigs every night and they're doing covers and, that kind of thing, a standard bar restaurant gig, the bridge is generally shorter. They're already doing copies of tunes and they're doing their own renditions and they're already employing those things to bring people in, and they recognize the value of drawing people. But as you get into original music and people who, are really looking for more, like we said before, a theater performance where people are paying attention, that identity bridge is longer. But for them, it's interesting because it's almost more necessary for them to do that self-promotion because nobody knows what they do. They've never heard it before. They have no idea what's going to happen. So it's an interesting, field we're playing in.
Yeah. And I think people that are playing mostly covers at bars and restaurants and breweries and wineries are probably making more money than I'm ever going to make as a musician, because there is such a market for that. If you're good and you're busy and you're getting out there and getting those gigs, you get repeat gigs, you get residencies, you get every month I'm here, every month I'm there, every week I'm here. And you're making regular money playing music. And there's a lot to be said for that. That sounds like a joyous existence. I don't want to play a bunch of cover songs. I want to play our original tunes for people that want to hear them. And that is so much harder to make money doing that. I'm lucky because I am in a place in my life where I don't need to play for the money, so that I can be selective about gigs. Gary is absolutely gotten to the point where he is pretty much a full-time musician. So the reason I trust him, back to your way earlier question, to book our gigs is because I know he needs the money. And he's doing this as his job now. And he's playing often on his own, doing acoustic gigs without me, without the band. So when we play a show as a band, it's a carefully picked venue and opportunity that is either going to make us plenty of money or be a really cool opportunity. So the show we've got coming up this Friday is at a really cool music venue that we have played before all by ourselves, where we drew literally 10 people. And instead we're back there this coming Friday supporting a band who's already got a big following. And so it's the same venue. We're going to play the same songs, but we're going to have a lot more fun doing it because we're not telling our own story, trying to get people out to just see us. There's multiple bands telling their stories. So.
And I think it really underscores how important it is for all the players, the directors, the people that are serving and providing the entertainment or adjacent to it, work as collaborators and work as partnerships. And I went through at least 2 decades in my life where I believe, like many musicians, that the restaurant owner was the man. And that's just never actually been the case.
No,
it's a terrible realization to have, and I don't know where that comes from. It could come from, a lack of self-esteem with one's own product and its ability to compete. And so you kind of point fingers. But that could be that egotism. Who knows? But it's never been the case, has it?
No. And as soon as you develop a really good relationship with a bar or brewery manager, the person who you work with to book a gig and design a night of music, right? We've had this happen multiple times where we've got this great relationship. They call us or we call them and go, we're playing next Thursday. Yep, here's what we're doing. They promote it. We promote it. It's a great night of music. Back when Gary and I were mostly doing the acoustic stuff, a lot of covers, some originals, breweries, bars, wineries, etc. So many of those people, the restaurant industry is so much turnover that even when you do develop that really copacetic relationship, it is not going to last.
Right.
And then they get replaced for whatever reason, and that new person, you got to start from scratch. And
it's a shocking day. I've heard many anecdotes about management changes at rarestaurants and how they affect musicians. I've been a victim of that as well. Right, management comes in, they just want to hire their guys.
Yeah, and rarely is it, hey, let's take what you're doing and do it more and better. It's always the other way around.
Right. It's usually turned down. So
exactly.
In terms of, we have this whole thing, AI, and I don't really want to open up that whole subject, but
okay,
it's bit me. And what I noticed is that you don't interview sort of quote unquote AI musicians. I see that on your website, but also, I want to take it down to sort of what I think is the objective thing, which is, do you think listeners say they want authenticity, but actually reward polish? Because what I notice is that there's this romantic notion of, hey, just take your phone out and do a TikTok video. Don't worry about all the production. And that has changed, because if you look at the TikTok, the very first Creator Academy video now says crisp audio, nice lighting, captioning. And suddenly I feel like I was a Toastmaster for 2 years. And I feel like I'm back.
I was the president of a Toastmasters
Are
club.
you kidding me? We find so many things in common. That's great. So that's what I'm feeling, that energy, and it makes me sad, because I can bring that energy, you can bring that energy, but for the people we were just talking about who are way at the end of that identity bridge, who are really creative people, making them feel comfortable to share feels like the objective. And I think when you make a lot of those hurdles that they have to step, the crisp audio and all that stuff, it bothers them. And when you compound that with the impact of AI, the data center debate, stealing opportunity from artists, again, the further you get across that bridge where someone's doing something original and more respects original work from other artists, not just musicians, but other, graphic art, but how often do you think listeners say they want that authenticity, but then they really want, say, a Rick Beato, which is like that nice mic and the nice lighting and good, things like that?
I think the content has to be exceptional if you're going to overcome not polishing it, right? You have to be such a captivating personality with something to say that no matter what the circumstances, people want to hear it. And not very many people do that. That's rare. And you can get there with very creative editing and polish, and lighting is good and sound is good. Like, let's take all the roadblocks out so that people can hear what you have to say, and you can carefully craft it. It will be less authentic, but it will be more well thought out. And I am a fan of TikToks of both styles, right? But probably the most of what I watch and enjoy is polished stuff, the stuff that is more well thought out. But it's you started with asking about AI. I don't see that as an AI issue, right? Like, that's just a video production. How do you do it type of issue? Do you have time, or do you just putting something out there, or are you really crafting a final product? I've used AI. I use it on the regular. I have tried it in ways that it has not worked for me. I've tried to have AI craft my incredibly amazing questions that I'm going to ask a band on the show, and it's not good at that. No matter how I've tried prompting it over and over, the questions I come up with based on real research are better. But when it comes time to craft a episode title that is going to be better with search engine optimization, I do trust AI to be smarter at that than I am. To write a description of my YouTube video or a podcast episode that is enticing, that might make people want to watch or listen. I do trust AI to do that. And then I'll still go back and edit it and correct its spelling issues when it doesn't know how to spell anybody's name, unfortunately. So I'm always fixing it, but it gives me a pretty good 80% of what I need. So it's just a time saver for me. It's just doing some of the busy work of creating a podcast.
I think we have another thing in common. We like to talk. Do you have that same problem, and do you actively work to overcome it?
Yes and no. I think we are fighting an uphill battle with every episode to get more listeners, because I think I know people look at, oh, this sounds like it might be interesting, but it's a 2-hour episode. I don't think I'm into that, right? I think we are putting up a roadblock with a long form podcast And so I have to decide every time how much to cut, the concept of the show being what it is, I don't see a way to make that a 30-minute show without making it part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would rather have the slow build of people hearing almost every word we recorded, rather than cutting so much valuable content out. So I do spend a lot of time editing, and I edit for flubs and coughs and all of those things, audio issues, fixing those types of things. I'm not looking to edit out the heart of what we said. And so it's pretty rare that I'm editing out a significant amount of time from our 2 hours of recording.
What are you using to edit?
So I'm editing as a video. So I'm using DaVinci.
Okay.
DaVinci, and I had it's the free version for a while, and DaVinci Studio Pro, whatever it's called, $300. It is the best video editing program I've used. I used when we were doing an audio only podcast, I used Ableton Light Live 12, and I can do either one, but since it's a video podcast first, I'll do it all in DaVinci and then export the audio. But DaVinci has so many cool tools. It involves AI in so many things.
Right.
It will auto transcript for me. I can edit from that if there is a chunk that I want to remove just based on what we said. Easier to find it there than it is in scrubbing the video. And so it's very helpful. And that's, that transcript is what I feed Claude to give me a good show description, right? That type of thing. So
yeah, exactly. My friend turned me on to Descript.com, and I threw something up there the other day, and it did a good job of killing off the flubs and the uhs and the ums. But I've been using Audacity and my father. My father's ruthless. Like he's just going to cut out all the bullshit, and I need that. So it's Happy Father's Day, by the way.
Happy Father's
very good
Day.
tie in there. But I use Audacity and then just for shorts and promos and things like that. I do a combination of Canva and then the individual platforms. And you're right, the tools that we've been using for so long, although I haven't detected it in Audacity yet, all of a sudden there's like an AI invasion. Like everything from, Google, any Google product now has AI just baked in.
Yeah.
If you rent a car right now, their website has AI baked in, so it's all coming in. So DaVinci kind of went through a similar transition.
So it is not like a cloud-based or web-based. It is an app on my computer, and but they are every update. There's a new AI tool or function in there, like the transcripts and what you can do with transcripts. But it's really good at voice isolation. So if you have background noise you want to get rid of during a recording, it's super good at that. And it doesn't sound processed. It still sounds natural. I've used that for work videos that I've made. I use it at work as well. And it's just, so more and more AI tools. There's an AI section in the menus for all the different things it can do.
Yeah. And I want to go back and tie that back to something you said about if you have exceptional content, like if two guys are having an algae steak sitting next to the reflecting pool, that is going to go viral despite the quality, right? They could film that on a 1994 cell phone, and I don't think you could do that, 2004 cell phone, and it could be crap quality, but people are so if you have exceptional content, I loved my example there, an algae steak sitting next to the reflecting pool.
You're going to get it, man. It's topical. It's controversial. It's going to get, people are searching for that right now.
Exactly.
So take advantage of those situations. And it's things like that I have not had the time to do in the recent months that I want to be better at that. So when my show wraps on Wednesday, I'm going to have more time to think about that stuff.
I'm going to have to draw this up on an XY axis, the exceptionality of your content and the production quality. I bet they're on an XY axis. If you don't have exceptional quality, I think right in the middle is where the TikTok algorithm is living. It's basically saying you may or may not have exceptional content, but if your user can't actually absorb what you're saying because your audio drops or its algorithm perceives your audio to drop, which is interesting, then there's going to be issues just consuming it. But then if you have really raw content and it's not very well, organized, vice versa. Question: has a guest ever asked you to pull or change an episode after the fact?
No, nothing like that has happened yet. And I won't be surprised when it does. We have had guests say something where I volunteered that. I was like, are you sure you want me to put that out there? I'm happy to edit that out if you would rather me do that, because they said something and then I could see that they kind of regretted it. But I think in their mind, they're like, well, it's out there now. So I just give them the opportunity. Like I'm not here to embarrass you or cause you a problem or, gotcha type interview. It's not that. So I'm happy to work with people. And I have taken out things when they've responded to, yeah, could you please not say that or have me say that on the show? But nobody's asked for it. Nobody's been like calling me back going, hey, I think I shouldn't have said that. Can you take that part of the interview out? Never has not happened yet.
And you do, I think the key there is you do a lot of work to establish that relationship a little further down the road than just a call. And I have to say that was one of my first mistakes. My very first interview, very first episode, we had never talked to each other. I just came on and did it. Part of that was me just saying, okay, Cliff, let's just do this. And so I was in a position where I was going to need to learn. But you do a lot of work up front. And I think that's really important. Short on time, I want to get back to JR as a person. What's the dumbest, most unglamorous logistics nightmare you've survived to make a gig happen?
So early on in my musical career, I was playing in a country band called Ice House Road. And our lead singer was heavily involved in rodeo. So riding bulls. And then after he was done riding bulls, he would be the guy dressed up as a clown going out there to protect the cowboy that falls off the bull from getting mangled. And so our first gigs ever were at bull rides because he knows all the people that put on the bull rides. And so our first gigs were show up in a dusty, nasty ring where there's bullshit everywhere and set up on a big, huge flatbed trailer that was probably used for hay the day before and run a 150-foot extension cord to get any amount of power. And you're not covered. If it rains, it rains. And we played probably 30 or 40 of those shows. And they had all of their challenges. But they gave us the foundation of playing live, playing in front of a crowd who was kind of there to hear what we had to say. But we had so many, it was a horrible load in, a horrible load out. It was dirty. All of our stuff was trashed afterwards. But man, was it fun. Like those early days of playing music were a blessing and a curse in so many ways, but I'm glad I have that in my resume.
That's awesome. I'm going to try to extend the call, but and I only have to do that here.
I have a 5-minute deadline. I got
You're
family.
Good.
I got a Father's Day conversation with my father about to happen in 5 minutes.
I just wanted to execute a sign off. So
yeah, that's
1, 2, 3. JR, I want to thank you so much for talking with me today, and I feel one too many mornings and 1,000 miles behind you guys, and in so many ways. In a way, it's good at 52 to learn. You need to learn, but there's a lot out there, and it's nice to know someone like yourself and consider you sort of a partner in this campaign we're on to make the world a better place through music. Thank you for talking with me today.
Well, Cliff, this conversation is, I think, has benefits for both of us because, I mean, as you know, we had you on our show. I'm honored to be on your show, and we both seem to have a similar goal.
I want to thank JR for spending part of his Father's Day with me and for reminding me that a rising tide floats all boats. JR survived a heart attack in a Dropkick Murphys mosh pit and was back on stage 2 months after triple bypass surgery. If that's not a musician, I don't know what is. What a great Father's Day episode. If you're a working musician who wants your story heard, this podcast exists for you. Subscribe to the MoneyGigs app at themoneygigs.com. And if you want to win a hand-built guitar, the Joe Cowles giveaway is live. Details in the show notes, or you can go to themoneygigs.com/giveaway to check out that contest. Thanks for listening to the MoneyGigs podcast.